All right, so I'm going to do a tutorial on how to reconstitute peptides, and we're going to place the reconstituted peptide, in this case, into a sterile 3 milliliter vial. You can alternatively also use a cartridge if you're going to use it in a pen, but today we're going to be using a 3 milliliter vial. I want to talk a little bit while I get everything set up. You can see here, 25 gauge, 1 by 1.5. Oh, hypodermic needle, Lurlock syringe. This is a 3 milliliter Lurlock syringe. Normally, I use these to fill 3 milliliter cartridges, so that's why I use larger ones. You don't have to. All right. Before I start all this, just to clarify, so you know as well, for instruction, before I started anything, this surface has been cleaned, bleach cleaned, and then wiped with water, sterile water to make sure it's clean. All these caps have been alcohol sanitized already, which you can see I got my alcohol wipes right over here. So those are just things to note before you were to ever even start this part of the process. So we're going to draw up 1 milliliter of bacteriostatic water. So we'll slowly pull this guy, mainly because you don't want to add too many bubbles, but it won't matter too much because we're just putting this in a vial, not a cartridge. So let's grab 1 milliliter of bacteriostatic water. For short, this is known as BAC, B-A-C, BAC water, for simple. So I'll take my top off there. I'm going to grab, let me set this down, make this easier. I'm going to grab another alcohol pad. These vials are sterile, but I am maybe just a hair OCD, so I like to just hit them with a little bit of isopropyl again, just to verify sterility. So we're going to just letting that alcohol kind of evaporate a little bit. All right, so I always like to come with my needle end facing, like the open end facing up, and then I'll come in kind of at a 45 right in that middle, and then I kind of tilt into it, and then you kind of want to make sure you get that water running down the side, just to try to prevent foaming up and all that as much as possible. Got that 1 milliliter of backwater in there. Okay. Now, normally I would say we're going to get rid of this needle, but today we will be filtering these peptides. So I'm going to use this needle again, only because at the end of this, I will finally change this needle out, add a filter, and then add a needle on the end of that filter to do the final transition into the last sterile vial. So I'm not too worried about the sterility of everything right now in this moment, just in the sense of reusing that needle one more time to draw this back up. So, and just so you know, I've already, these peptides, already let them cool a little bit, or warm rather, pulled them out of the refrigerator to allow them to warm. So, and you can see what I'm doing right now is part of reconstitution. I am swirling this around. Some people say you can just shake it. I've never had an issue swirling it, and that's what I recommend. Just swirling this guy around. So I'm going to sit here and swirl this around for about a minute, really until you just see that it is mostly clear in there, which looks very clear, which is good. It's what we're looking for. But I'm going to continue to swirl this, and then I will return whenever we're going to pull what's in here out and transfer it into this next vial. So I'll see you guys in a second. All right, we're right back at it. So I've kind of let this do its thing, reconstitute, and you can see it is crystal clear. That's what we're looking for. All right, so now we're going to pull this up into here. I personally like using these longer 1 by 1.5 needles because you can inject them straight in and just get everything up right from the bottom. And I find that a little bit easier. Actually, real quick, I'm going to put a little bit of air in here so that I can actually easily pull this peptide out. Yeah, you'll see it was vacuumed, which is always a good sign. Yep, so see. All right. Now let's pull this guy up. Let me make sure I rotate that needle. And I don't care that I'm pushing this needle into the bottom of this vial because I'm not going to use this needle to inject anything or anything of that nature. And I'm still going to filter all this. So we're going to pull all this peptide up. And I try to get as much as I safely can. All right, okay. So pull that up. All right, and then I'm going to turn this upside down so I can take this needle out. A little bit easier. I like doing it that way, turning it upside down, because when I pull the needle out and it repressurizes, it's going to pull a little bit of air in so that I can try to get as much of the peptide out of here as possible. It's not the end of the world, but because obviously it's not like we're, paying $500 a month, so you gotta worry about, a little 0.1. So now we're gonna take that guy off. We're gonna now go over to the filter. Oh. So we're gonna grab this filter here. Okay. And then when it comes to filters, I always like to try and keep my grimy hands off of these things. I try to grab them just in the middle so I'm not touching any part of the filter that the peptide is going to touch, because obviously that would kind of defeat the whole purpose of filtering it. And then now I try to do this, I wouldn't say quick because you never want to make a mistake, but I try to do this part in a reasonable amount of time because I just don't want that filter exposed to the air for extended time, right? Obviously, we're not in a laboratory, but I like to do things as sterile as possible, keeping your hands clean, keeping things alcoholed. You'll notice as well when I pull all these syringes out, I open them up kind of like this first. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying not to touch the inside of the actual syringe. This one, try to get my hands up under. This is going to be our vent needle. Try to get my hands up under that guy. And we're going to add a vent needle here just on the side. All right. Just on the side, this vent needle is so that whenever we're adding this peptide in, it's going to push a little bit of air out. Of course, now I'm going to grab my peptides. And this is going to be our filtration process here. I try not to splash it around, so I try to angle it towards the wall. During this filtration portion, don't got to push super duper hard. Actually, you don't want to push super duper hard because you're going to push harder than the filter can accept fluid. So I just try to keep positive pressure on this. Not pushing hard, just barely pushing enough that, the solution is coming through. And we'll sit here and do this for a little bit. And you'll see it's slowly dripping into the vial. Don't got to push hard at all. I'll let that keep going. Alright, picking back up where we left off. At the end there, I kind of just hold it, let that last little bit drop out. And then that's it. And we can remove our vent needle. As simple as that. Let's cap these needles. And obviously, I don't have my sharps container here, but all of this will end up obviously going inside of my sharps container. But you can see super duper easy to do, nothing hard to it at all. And you'll see there's a little bit of peptide that gets remaining. I think it's 0.4 milligrams. It's basically virtually nothing. If you wanted to equate it to money, it's maybe 50 cents, a dollar of peptide that gets left inside of the filter. If you wanted, you could draw up, 0.5 of backwater and flush that through. I don't think it's worth it. These peptides are cheap enough that I think that little bit of waste doesn't matter. But you will see, now we have our clear, nice, clear, pretty peptides in our sterile container. And I've already alcohol swabbed this vial cap. Oh. And we'll throw that guy on there. There we go. Throw that guy on there, little vial cap. Just to keep it sterile while we keep it in our case. But that's it. It is super, super duper simple.